Battlefield 5 is just around the corner, and understandably, it's therefore about time this channel started waking up a little bit. It's been in some sort of I guess you could say, hibernation state over the past weeks, possibly even months, frankly because there wasn't so much Battlefield 1 content really to cover, and because this is really a hobby and not really a full-time job for me, I sometimes take the liberty of just producing a little bit less YouTube content and focusing a little bit more on what the hell's going on around me in the real world. That being said though, Battlefield 5 is coming, and understandably so is some more content for you guys on this channel. But what I'd like to focus on today's video and really figure out is what kind of content you guys really want to see. So not only do I want to talk a little bit about the existing content lineup that we had for Battlefield 1, most of which will be coming into Battlefield 5 as well, but also some newer ideas, concepts that I've had floating around in my mind, think about how we could freshen things up here on the channel and figure out what you guys think about those. Absolutely, this video is about you guys telling me what you find good or bad about my content, good or bad about individual series, and what kind of ideas you'd like to see implemented, because I'm only one opinion. While I only ever produce content that I enjoy making, I do also want to produce content that you guys enjoy watching, and I can't do that if you guys don't let me know what you actually enjoy. That being said then, before we get into the new series ideas that I've had, let's quickly go over the existing series that are basically going to be carried over into Battlefield 5, because I'd be really interested to know what you guys think could be improved in those individual series. Now for Battlefield 1 we had kind of the usual suspect roundup of weapon reviews, weapon showdowns or comparisons, game mechanics and guides. We also had a series of kind of update, CTE, DLC videos, news videos if you so will. We had the live commentaries, a couple of episodes of Fixing Battlefield, and a couple of episodes of map guides. That pretty much sums up my Battlefield 1 content more or less. Now that content is what more or less is going to carry over, with a couple of exceptions here and there depending on as we get into the newer content I want to talk about. Map guides, we'll have to see if that continues over. It's a lot of work to actually produce those videos, and depending on the map and the game, they may or may not actually be necessary. Fixing Battlefield probably will return because knowing DICE, the game will be far from perfect when it launches, and it's always interesting to take one set issue and take it apart and talk a little bit about how it can be improved. But those individual series, especially of course the very popular weapon reviews, weapon showdowns, and game mechanics and guides, they are very much subject to your guys' wishes, not only in terms of which weapons, which mechanics, which guides you want, but also what elements you want in those videos. What elements do you not like? Are the videos too long, too short, too detailed? Do they need to be simplified a little bit more? Do you need a change in graphics? Whatever content, whatever commentary, whatever ideas and criticism you possibly have, do let me know what you think about those series. But that being said, let's get into the two new ideas I have as far as possible series that we could be launching with Battlefield 5 on this channel. And the first of them comes very much from the recent weeks of the DICE news cycle. So for those of you who've completely given up on Battlefield 5 and haven't been cued into what's been going on recently over the last few weeks, DICE has been pushing a lot of information out. Every few days we get a blog post or we get a dev talk, Twitter or Reddit Q&A. There's been a lot of information flowing out to the community, partially because DICE has realized that they've really screwed up in the marketing. But given the model that DICE is going to be following with their live service, this is very much going to continue to be the way. There's going to be weekly news when it comes to Battlefield to cover. Now, certain creators go about this by basically waiting for the news to release and immediately publishing a video like an hour or two afterwards. Now, frankly, I find it tiring to watch 7 videos a week just to figure out what's going on when it comes to Battlefield, and each individual video only really containing like 1 or 2 pieces of small information and the rest just being clickbaity, time-wasting stuff. I frankly like to get it all a little bit more condensed, and frankly I don't have the time to produce that kind of content either. So my idea was to essentially create a This Week in Battlefield. Now I know that title is very, very close to a different show that covers gaming in more general, run by another big Battlefield YouTuber, which is why I'm putting this in parenthesis, because if you have a better name suggestion, I'm absolutely down for it. I could absolutely use a better name suggestion. But what this show or this weekly video would essentially cover, towards the end of the week understandably, is all the news that we got regarding Battlefield 5 in that week. So any content updates, any development in terms of future content, in terms of live service, in terms of the CTE, if we actually end up getting a CTE. Possibly also this could include, if the show is popular enough, feature content. So a feature content from a smaller YouTuber or from somebody in the Battlefield community that's worth showing to other people, worth pointing out. Think of it as a top tip of the week, if you so will. This could include Reddit content. If somebody really enthusiastic about posting funny clips on Reddit, we could include that as well. In-game challenges or weekly events, which are definitely going to be part of Battlefield 5, that could be featured in that video. That could be summarized there as well. And if ever a competitive Battlefield scene does emerge, especially given that we're getting a Battle Royale, news coverage of that kind of content could also be included. Another kind of idea I've got floating around, although this very much would only work if the show gets enough traction that it's worth it for other content creators to participate, would be kind of a top clip of the week supplied by one of the many Battlefield YouTubers that do kind of the top gameplays of the week. One of those, for example, being AKRT. He puts out 2-3 videos a week with absolutely amazing gameplay clips that he gets sent in from other basically gamers. We could feature kind of the top clip there every week. That would of course have to be working with those other YouTubers. That's why I say it's contingent on getting some kind of traction on the show, some kind of viewership there. Otherwise, it's not worth it for those individual players. But I hope you can slowly start to see what kind of show/video I'm thinking of dreaming up here. A condensed everything that's happened around Battlefield in that week in one video towards the end, for those who do not want to waste their time watching 7 videos a week to keep up to date with what's going on in the Battlefield community. Now, just to point out here, I'm not criticizing those that put out daily videos on Battlefield news. If there's a demand for it, you're absolutely entitled to make that kind of content. I personally, though, both as YouTuber and as YouTube viewer, I'm just not interested in that amount of content, which is where my idea comes from in summarizing it all up and giving kind of a weekly show on that. But I should note here, very much tailored and specific to Battlefield, and unlike, for example, Level Caps Gaming This Week in Gaming, not a broader show that looks at many different topics and just kind of puts it all in one. That's idea one. So let me know very much down below in the comments what you think of that, if you've been interested in watching that show, if you have a better name than This Week in Battlefield, because of, as mentioned, it's very similar to another show out there, and if there's any other content ideas you have for that show that you think would work well with the format. The second idea is very different. So while This Week in Battlefield is very much about summarizing everything, getting a condensed video out once a week, every Saturday for example, that gives you the full update in terms of Battlefield news, Battlefield in 60 Seconds is a much shorter, much more topically focused format that I have thought of. It's literally what it says in the name. A given topic focused down to 60 seconds of video material explained in a simple format. So for example, for the more noob-friendly kind of videos that are for those who are just starting off with Battlefield, the simple mechanics of weapon control, the conquest or any other game mode for that matter of sense, spread, how that works, weapon choice, how that works. These could be kind of 60 seconds in Battlefield's quick tutorials for those A, who do not have the time, or B, do not want the kind of full-length explanation, detailed analytics that I put into my video when, for example, talking about weapons or guides or other aspects of the game. Now this format, Battlefield in 60 Seconds, is very much a complementary format. It doesn't necessarily stand on its own. What I mean by that is, let's say I put a weapon review out on the STG. Alongside that weapon review, for example a day earlier, the Battlefield in 60 Seconds version of that could launch. So the STG explained in 60 seconds. For those who then want a more detailed and full weapon analysis, you can watch the full weapon review that comes out a day later, for example. But for those just looking for a quick guide, a quick reference point on what this weapon does, how it's used, etc., maybe also how to unlock it, Battlefield in 60 seconds would be the more appropriate format, saving those people a lot of time and frustration having to go through a 10-minute video just to get that one piece of basic information that they wanted. So that's my 2 video ideas, This Week in Battlefield in parenthesis, better name if possible pending, and Battlefield in 60 seconds. I'm most interested to know not only what you think about those new ideas, whether you're interested in them, whether you think they're a bad idea, or whether you think they can be improved in any kind of way beyond what I've described, but I'm also interested to hear what you think of the existing content lineup, the kind of videos like my existing weapon reviews, showdowns, guides, that will of course be carrying over into Battlefield 5. As always, you guys are the viewer of my content and thus somewhat at the center of what I produce. You don't like it, I don't have to bother making it. That being said, those who want to give me some feedback, feel free to leave it down below in the comments or hit me up with it on Twitter as per usual at Define Disaster. I'm always interested to hear what you think. If you found the video interesting, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and as per usual, hope to see you in the next Battlefield video.